I want to create a do-it-yourself bus bar for 48 volt batteries, and this is how I'm going to do it. I have two batteries in parallel, one 5 kilowatt hour and the other is 15 kilowatt hour. They are going to these fuses. They're called NT00 fuses. And from there, they're going into a copper bus bar. And then the main fuse will go to the inverter. The same happens on the negative side. The negatives get combined to a bus bar, and I'll be using this one. And from there, they go to a shunt, and from the shunt, it goes to the inverter. I want to make the system expandable, so if I have more batteries later on, I can add them to the system. This is how I'm going to mount the fuses. I will leave some space in between so I can still pull the fuses if I need to. I have marked drilling holes in the copper bus bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 2 for later expansions. As you can see, this is how we mount them. There are 2 holes in here. There is no DIN rail. So we have to mount them with 2 screws to a wooden backboard. I will explain later in the video why I chose these currents, but for now, let's drill the holes. I just finished drilling the holes. I used a center punch first, then a small drill, then a medium drill, and then I ended with a drill of 8.5 millimeters, and that fits the M8 bolts perfectly. You can see that this hole is a bit more down than all the other holes. I thought it would be a better fit to move them up a little bit more. Let me show you how these fuses will fit on the bus bar. This is what the finished bus bar looks like. As you can see, there's still a lot of room where the metal is touching the copper. And these are the holes where they will be mounted. This is how the system looks like. This is the main fused bus bar. We have the 2 batteries, another one is coming, going through the fuses, through the bus bar. If I was in a marine environment, I would have chosen for a tinned copper bus bar, but this is just pure copper. Then, after the fuses, it goes to the bus bar, and from the bus bar we go to the bigger fuse, to the main positive wire and the Victron Multiplus. And from there the negative goes to the shunt. From the shunt we go to the negative bus bar, and from there we go back to the batteries. This is a full ESS system with a 3-phase string inverter. If you want to know more about the system, let me know in the comments and I'll make a video about it. These fuses are very tight in their holders. You can remove them by hand, but it's very difficult. So I recommend using this kind of pliers. If there's no space on the top to grip on, you can take them from the bottom, like this. Then we can push them back in. It's quite difficult with one hand, but I will try. And there you go. I will leave a link to these fuses in the video description. I have added a plastic sheet to the front of the bus bar, so we can't touch them. And then I've added the Victron shunt display. The way I added this plastic sheet is with a threaded rod. I drilled a small countersunk hole in the back where there's a nut, and this one is pushing down on that rod, so it can't really move. The last part, which I still have to complete, is adding all the grounding connections to a single grounding bus bar, and that's right here. Let me show you how I choose the fuse and the wire sizes. First, we have to know the power of the inverter, and that is 5000 watts on the AC out. Now we know that an inverter isn't 100% efficient, so the power on the DC side will be larger than the AC output. An inverter is generally 90% efficient, so that gives us 5555 watts on the DC input side. Then we divide it by the battery voltage. 48 volts is conservative. Normally we have a 51.2 volt nominal battery. But if we divide by 48 volts, we get a current of 116 amps on these wires. Next, we apply a safety factor of 1.25 and we become a current of 145 amps. So to size our main fuse, which is this one, we need to choose a fuse size up, and the next fuse size up is 160 amps. Then we have to select a cable that can carry at least the fuse rating, which is 160 amps, and that's the 2 gauge or 35mm square cable. The next part is going to be a little bit more difficult. We have to calculate the current through all these individual wires where the batteries are wired in parallel. I have 3 batteries. One battery is 2.5 kilowatt hours, the second is 5 kilowatt hours, and the third is 15 kilowatt hours. If we add these all up together, we get 22.5 kilowatt hours. Then we divide by the lowest amount, which is 2.5 kilowatt hours, and we get a factor of 9. So remember, we had the maximum current of 145 amps, including a safety factor. If we take this and divide by the factor of 9, we get 16.11 amps. The factor of 9 is important to know. That means battery 1 will have a factor of 1, battery 2 is double the capacity, which is a factor of 2, and then the last one has a difference of 6 between the third and the first. So that influences the current. So battery 1 has a factor of 1, so it's 16 amps. Battery 2 is the double of battery 1, which is 32.2 amps. And battery 3 has the factor of 6, which is 96.6 amps. If we add these together, we become 145 amps. The reason why the larger battery delivers the largest amount of current is that in a parallel setup, the voltage stays the same. So in order to stay at the same voltage, the current draw will be higher in this one and in this one. So, because of internal resistance and some other factors, I like to include another safety factor. So we have the previous 16 amps and multiply it by another safety factor of 1.25 and we get 20 amps. Do the same with the second battery and we get 40 amps, and the same with the third battery and we get 120 amps. The nearest fuse size to 120 amps is 125 amps. So that will be this fuse. And the cable that can carry at least this current is a 4 gauge or 25mm square rated for 200 degrees Celsius silicone cable. And to make everything a lot easier, I'm going to use the same fuse sizes for these 2 batteries and the same cable thickness. So that's how you size the wires and the fuses for the system. Let's do a quick comparison against the Victron Lynx Class T. The enclosure will cost you $195. and each fuse is $60. That's a total of $435. And now let's look at a DIY bus bar. The copper strip is $20. The fuse is $6.50 and we need 4 of them. The holder is $9 and we need 4 of them as well. That's a total cost of $82. That's a difference of $350 or 5 times as much. Let me show you how to find the size of the copper strip. I got one measuring 30 millimeters by 3 millimeters. And if we multiply this, we get 90 millimeters square or 3 odd. And if we look this up at the NEC table, we get 3 temperature ratings: 60, 75 and 90 degrees Celsius. So which one do we use? Bare copper has no insulation limit. The limit comes from your terminals. And if the current is over 100 amps, you need to use the 75 degree column, unless every termination is rated for 90 degrees Celsius. 3 odd at 75 degrees Celsius is 200 amps, and the largest fuse in the system is 160 amps, so this size bus bar is good. The bus bar current rating always needs to be greater than the fuse size, just like we do with cable and fuse sizing. Hope this video was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.